Hi, this is Lee. I hope you're having a good day today. I just wanted to jump in and say, have you ever thought about homeschooling and then wondered to yourself, what about college, right? The stereotypical teens that are homeschooled are like nerds that are lacking social skills. And I think that's why people wonder, what about college? Can you even get in? And what about scholarships? And yeah, let me give you a little truth here. Colleges are actually recruiting homeschoolers and see them as valuable high school graduates that they'd like to have on campus. So my name is Lee Benz, and I'm the home scholar. And I wanted to just kind of explain for a moment how that works. Because they are really aggressively recruiting homeschoolers, and it's something that many veteran homeschoolers have seen all along. Because when we read a homeschool magazine, there's ads for colleges. When we go to homeschool conventions, there's colleges that are there just trying to recruit. So they're actually looking for homeschoolers. It's not that they don't like us, it's like they like us that much to be recruiting us. So then you're asking yourself, well, why does that even happen? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. And one of them is that homeschoolers are creative, independent thinkers. They've never been really told, when you analyze a book, here's the right answer, or when you're doing this project, here's the one right answer. Instead, they don't have that mass socialization in a classroom setting. And so they're more likely to think up a creative solution to things. Plus, they have that love of learning in their schooling, which again promotes that creative, independent thinking. And what it looks like to the homeschool parent is that you have that love of learning that is maintained throughout high school. In a similar way, one of the things that colleges really like is to see teenagers with genuine, passionate interests in something, not interests that their mom tells them that they have to do, or that their guidance counselor said they should be involved in because it always gets good scholarships, right? Instead, they have interests that are unique to them, whether that is in the political arena, or involving a sport, or involving a musical instrument, or anything. I had one child who loved chess. I had another child that loved economics, of all things. So they can develop these genuine and passionate interests. And one of the reasons why that happens is because homeschoolers have a little bit more time. I know it doesn't seem like that, but we can actually get the education part of schooling done in about 20 minutes that it would take a teacher in a school an hour, which is why they have to, have a 4-year college degree so they can figure out how to wrestle this huge group of teenagers. And we don't have a whole group of teenagers. We've got ours, right? And so it's pretty efficient to get that done. And so we actually do have more time available to pursue those interests. So even though I was a pretty rigorous homeschooler with my children, even so, it wasn't until we started homeschooling that my children had enough time to pursue things like their piano lessons. And when they got older, even with our rigorous academics, we were still able to let them have a job 1 day a week. They were, full-time employed for that 1 day a week. And those are the things that develop those genuine interests. So this one's interesting too. Homeschoolers also demonstrate mature, responsible behavior. And part of that is because they are socialized not into the behavior of teenagers, but they are socialized into the behavior of a family member, right? And so they have to be responsible to make their own lunch from time to time and help out with childcare, or do the yard work with parents, because there they are, they're at home and everybody's working together. And as a homeschooler, we don't shape and mold our children's behavior after school, but we shape and mold their behavior throughout the day. And so any behavioral problems can be more easily nipped in the bud because we see them and we can fix them as they happen. Now, homeschoolers are motivated, self-directed learners. Now, this does take time. It certainly does not happen overnight. But after a while, teenagers realize that you can't really teach something and make someone learn. They have to actually learn it on their own. And all that we can do, all that teachers can do, is really facilitate this self learning. And so they come more quickly to the realization that they have to become self directed. Normally, that will help happen in college when I remember being quite shocked that nobody would spoon feed me in college and how I had to learn this content on my own. And I really didn't know how to do that, even after, going to a great public school. And, but this is what homeschoolers are learning, even in the high school level. They can learn how to learn for themselves. Now, I will say that statistics have shown that homeschoolers do have better test scores across the board, but it is regardless of the level of parents' education. So sometimes people feel like they have to be self-motivated learners because I can't teach them, because it's a failure on me. But that's not actually true. So whether you have a high school diploma yourself, or 2 years of college, or 4 years of college, or a PhD, statistically, our kids score about the same. And it's because of this emotional investment in teaching your children a work ethic, but it's also because children have to become self-learning over time for everybody, whether you have that PhD or just a GED yourself. One of the interesting reasons why homeschoolers are recruited is because of their social skills. They tend to have social skills that are beyond their age group and cross over age groups too. So while it's a common question, what about socialization? I will say longtime homeschoolers get a little tired of hearing that question, because it is something that people say all the time. But it's actually, let me turn that on its head. Okay. In a public or private school, kids are socialized only with people that are within 365 days of their birthday. That is the only situation in which that will ever happen. In jobs, in church, in life, we have to interact with people of all age groups, right? And so it's only in school that kids are segregated only by age in that way. And so when homeschoolers are socialized, they are socialized to interact with everybody, regardless of what their age is. And so what socialization means is that you're encouraging your teenager to look somebody in the eye when they're speaking, to give a firm handshake, provided we're still allowed to shake hands. And it doesn't mean that they only talk to people their own age, they only dress like certain people of their own age. That is not what socialization means. I had one parent when I was homeschooling who felt that socialization meant identifying certain pop singers, right? And that surprised me, because that is really not a socialization indicator. That's a parenting indicator. And some parents don't have their children listen to some music, and that's what it reflects more than socialization. Now, so homeschoolers do get recruited by colleges because they have been able to achieve an excellent high school education. And I mentioned some of those statistics earlier, but I think it's worth kind of reviewing that with you, because there's been research done by the National Home Educators Research Institute, NHERI.org. And they have determined that as far as test scores go, homeschoolers score in the 87th percentile in reading, the 82nd percentile in math, the 84th percentile in science, the 85th percentile in social studies. And of course, the norm is public schoolers, who score the 50th percentile across the board. Okay, so we score significantly higher, way more than could statistically happen just at random. Okay, And I think it's because they are at home with a teacher who has carefully tailored that education for each student. And so that is how homeschoolers provide that excellence. Now, we started off by saying, what about college? Because these homeschoolers are nerdy. And I have to confess, my children would say this is true as well. I actually do have two very sweet, wonderful, nerdy children. And even so, they both earned full tuition scholarships to their first choice university. They both graduated from college debt free. So then you have to ask, how does that happen? And it can happen to homeschoolers, even normal homeschoolers like you, because homeschooling does provide really well educated kids. And not all homeschoolers are going to have sky high test scores, but often they are better educated than the average public school student. And their self-teaching skills, learning how to learn on their own, that is something that colleges really want. They want that eagerness to learn. They want the people that are engaged in their community with their activities, not just engaged with people that are within 365 days of their birthday. So colleges do love homeschoolers, and homeschooling is an education that you can carry with you wherever you go. If you need to move, if your school is closed, homeschooling is portable. It goes with you no matter whether you're under a state of emergency or not. So I like to encourage people that are considering homeschooling to think about homeschooling as a gift. It's a gift that we give to our children, this excellent education, this shaping and molding of their behavior. It's a gift that we give to universities as we are providing this quality education. And it's a gift that we're giving to employers and families in the future as our children grow up, because our children understand this socialization that is broad-based socialization and the ability to work as a group. So if you're asking yourself, what about college? What about scholarships? There is one concrete thing that you need to know, and that is you have to make a transcript. Okay. So I really hope that this week you will spring into transcripts with me and join me for my free class on transcripts soon. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and do stay home and stay safe and take care of yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.